punched the snake and knocked it out.
But it's just becoming a cash cow, which is why I have a problem with Wizards of the Coast.
The Shadow Crew Podcast.
So we're back, and we're excited that you all have decided to join us, and finally, the Shadow Crew has decided that we would grace your presence with everybody this time, instead of just Chris taking all his time off. So with that being said, I am your lovely, gorgeous host, but for this week, instead of Chet Maddox, we're going to hand it back to Chris because he decided to take time off and not tell anybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I really from the bottom of my heart, I will never miss an episode again unless we're talking about shit that I don't want to talk about. And there could be a list of things.
I will never miss an episode this week ever again. So
yes. I'm glad the foursome is back together.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of exciting stuff to talk about, and big kudos to Mr. Storm for sitting through as an attendee Hasbro Pulse Con 2023, virtual, but could be as painful as in person. So we're excited about this week's episode to dive in a little bit about all things Pulse Con, all the hot toys, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it looks like, from a good perspective, G.I. Joe's got something brewing, so we're excited to talk through that. In addition, we're going to talk a little about Star Wars because everyone's into Ahsoka and all the new characters that are showing their faces. So we're super excited to talk through all of those things, in addition to some other movies and series, some that are going to be hitting the theaters next week. And then others recently announced a Jabba the Hutt series or movie. I don't know. I want to get your take. Could be good, could be not. We'll talk through that. And then, lastly, we'll get through who are the best action heroes of all time. A little matchup of a versus competition here. A little organic conversation to see who fights to the top. Will it be John Wick? Will it be John McClane? Will it be Rambo, Terminator? Holy shit, I don't know.
You do realize that all the ones you mentioned, all of their names start with is John.
Yeah.
Is it John Wick?
Connor
is it
count?
John Rambo?
Well, here's the thing: would it be Terminator, or would it be John Connor, or would it be Sarah Connor? Like, who would be the?
Maybe we should just have who's the best John, and is it McClane? Is it Connor? Rambo,
the best Johns. Holy shit! Yeah, this could be. We could spend a whole fucking hour on the best Johns.
the toilet.
Wick. I mean, come on. I think that's what I'm going with.
So here's the question: would Jean-Claude Van Damme qualify as a John?
No.
Oh yes, especially if we're talking about, especially if we're talking about Double Impact.
That's right. Yeah, double impact, double the fun, double the action. Okay.
Minkum.
Did they ever make an action figure? Do you get two of them if you buy the Double Impact series?
Yeah, in the red boat scene, that's like the backdrop. Like, no.
Yes. Holy shit! You
figure
remembered that movie? I can't believe
it.
By the way, the most classic scene of all time, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't remember the movie. No. I said scene, man. You remember that movie where he was like from New Orleans and he grabbed a snake and he punched the snake and knocked it out?
Hard target.
Hard target. Yeah. He grabbed a cobra and he punched it and it knocked it out.
He's just warning everybody.
Name another scene that's better than that. I mean, that's it. It's over. Curtain.
Bloodsport, where he like looks at the camp, where he like, you remember the like big buff like Asian dude he's got to fight, and then the guy has like his time. Well, when I was younger and I watched Bloodsport, he did this thing where he like cracked his neck and then he was mad and he like cracked his knuckles. So I spent a good part of my young adult life growing up learning how to do this.
Yes.
Because it was intimidating.
Yeah.
So
what's that? What's the what's the muscle dude's name? His name's like something Bowl or I forgot what he's been in a few things.
His friend that's are you talking about the Asian dude or like the trucker
yeah
dude
the buff agent
he was in a bunch of things.
Yeah,
like the
he
villain,
was like the 80s like
he's an 80s Asian villain.
Dude. Yeah. All right. Well, PulseCon 2023. Alex, it'd be great to get a bit of a recap since for the rest of us, we jumped in and saw some videos, some articles, but we didn't sit through all of it. So your take.
Every year it's a little different. I thought the one bit of excitement that I thought was different than last year, they had the host that came back in at Thrawn. He's on some other YouTube channel. And, he wasn't really that charismatic, but I was looking forward to Dan Larson of Toy Galaxy and also, I think, also Secret Galaxy YouTube page, also on Instagram. He's fantastic. He was entertaining. He seemed like he's the natural in front of the mic. That was a great host to have on, and he was flowing. Thrawn kind of seemed like he was just generally a fan and not so much like a professional YouTuber, although he is. But it just didn't translate well for the Hasbro Pulse. But they started it off with this Transformers panel. Then it went into Power Rangers. Then it went into Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Marvel Legends, and then it finally ended with G.I. Joe. So as we're going through, let me break it down. The Transformers panel, they had a lot of their marketing guys and everything. The Transformer team does not do well in front of the camera. They actually needed like a Dan Larson or somebody else to help it move it along. There was a point where one of the gentlemen was one of the original creators from Japan of the Transformers, certain characters, and I can't remember what it was because when I was going through the Hasbro PulseCon, I started off in my car and then back to my house, so I couldn't see any of the subtitling because the gentleman was speaking in Japanese, and that was a little disappointing. But
are they still making metal Transformers? Or are they all plastic?
I don't know if they're still doing it in the Hasbro line. Mostly everyone I've seen now is, other than the transforming ones on its own, some of that's metal. But mostly, I think they're just using a lot of plastic.
You have to get into like like collector versions, like the 030. Those the 030 ones I've bought have been metal, metal with plastic, but not like G1 Generation 1,
right?
Like straight out of Japan toys. They don't do those anymore.
Well, like I said, again, the Transformers panel, again, they released some stuff out. Basically, I knew that Chet would be more interested in the Hasbro Pulse exclusive version of the Transforming Grimlock, which we'll get into that after there was a whole snafu with the premium membership kind of thing. Power Rangers was the next panel. That was actually pretty good. They did a touching kind of send off for Jason Frank, who had recently passed away, and they had came up with a device from the Power Rangers, and I'm not a Power Rangers fan at all, so I'm not even going to even try to list the technology or anything he was using, but it was nice. He said that they had done an original script for him to actually recite, and you were going to hear something that wasn't like taken from bits and pieces from the shows, so that's kind of cool. The Star Wars panel, they had some vintage characters and everything. I was more or less interested in the two pseudo, I guess, ex-Jedi that they had popped up in the Black Series. They looked fantastic.
Balin and
the other character. And his apprentice.
Yeah.
Those were fantastic looking. Well, from and they weren't digital renderings. They actually had some, so they look fantastic. And I was like, the likenesses and everything. They do a good job with the Star Wars Black Series, although they're charging for that too. So they better do a good job.
It's just, but it boils down to the packaging again.
It does.
I saw those, and it's like they're covered up.
Mm-hmm. I know.
There's like a photo of the action figure, and you'd figured like.
Now, see, with the
Star Wars fans, like if you do it right, like like I don't know, I'm not paying $35, but you could charge maybe $25 if you did something cool. I mean, especially with like these new characters, but it just doesn't get me excited. Like the characters are cool in the series, but again, it goes back to unless you're going to take it out of the box, a lot of people collect the actual packaging itself, and it's just not. I'm not putting that on the shelf.
Yeah.
Well, see, I will say something about this because I've dealt with it with the Indiana Jones series, right? Where usually I would leave everything in the box, never take it out. But because it's just cut the tape and the box opens up, I can actually open up these figures, look at them. They're packed with all their stuff very well. And so it is different. Instead of just the box on a shelf, I actually will take out the characters and look at it, put it on the shelf somewhere.
Well, I know that the G.I. Joe line, their plastic-free packaging, the first wave that they did were terrible, but the latest wave, the last several, they've done great toy photography, put the characters in some good action poses. They look good. They actually got that down. They didn't do the same thing with Star Wars. They probably needed to do a little bit more photography and everything else. But remember, they don't own the Star Wars license. That's Disney license. They're only going to do so much. And they also got to give royalties back to Disney.
Well, we don't know about that, right? am I right? Disney right now? Nah.
Yeah, they're giving the royalties back, brother. Disney's not doing anything for free, bro.
Yeah, well, they might be. They're not doing too good either.
But the Hasbro packaging looks a little bit better than the actual. I'm glad they're going back to the plastic packaging because those characters are really nice characters. They did Dungeons and Dragons. I was very least interested. I've never been a big Dungeons and Dragons fan, even when growing up. So I didn't pay too much attention to that.
I don't get the figures piece. Like I like Dungeons and Dragons, but the collectible figures.
Was
it from the movie?
No,
Yeah,
they're from the books, the lore books. It's just people made figures out of them. It's kind of, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons. Like you're supposed to imagine that shit in the book, not have some dude make a toy.
Well, and I thought part of the whole thing was you create your own character and with all your own abilities and shit.
You do, but they're like a lot of the figures they make are like the big bads and whatever else.
Okay.
It's just.
Well, I mean, part of the Stranger Things was like those characters were like out of the minds of kids, like the Demogorgon that existed in Dungeons and Dragons, and then they made it look like their version of it.
Yeah.
So I guess it defeats the point if they're releasing figures now. Like the whole creativity is out the window because it's like these kids are gonna go, no, that's not the wizard. It's supposed to look like this. So
we leave it to Wizards of the Coast to screw everything up.
Yeah.
Speaking of formerly Wizards of the Coast, the next one was Magic the Gathering, and I had zero interest in any of this.
Is it figure? Yeah. This is figures too?
No, this was more or less just cards, and also I think also what they did have. Actually, no, they did have a small set of like little figures. I think what they call it, the Churbex or whatever. They had a small set of those figures. Yeah, they had a small set of those figures.
Well,
and
I'm curious to get because Chet Maddox has about $1 billion worth of magic.
Oh, sure.
Magic items.
That is true.
We're not lying here. I mean, like digital,
like legitimately, like way too
like.
many. What's
your take on Magic the Gathering? Like you hearing this, you seen PulseCon. I mean, people are still playing it, still crazy popular. But like, what say you about Magic the Gathering?
Yeah. I mean, look, Magic the Gathering by far is a fantastic game. It's great. But it's just becoming a cash cow, which is why I have a problem with Wizards of the Coast. It's a good game, but it doesn't. I haven't had as much fun playing Magic the Gathering in recent years as I did when it was out, when it first came out in like 94, 95, and you could go buy a booster box at like Kmart or Target for like $7. And all the cards were way overpowered. All the cards made 0 sense. It was like Andrew Garfield had just come up with this game, and it took everyone by storm. The problem that I have with it is it's such a money grab right now that it's just not fun. Like I was playing Magic Arena all the time, and then it was like, so Magic the Gathering online is different than Magic Arena. Magic the Gathering Online is like you have your own portal to buy like cards to build decks. So it's kind of got the same idea as like paper trading at like your local game shop. But the Magic Arena didn't have that for so long. I don't even know if they have it now, but like they didn't have it for so long that like you would buy all these boosters, $100, you'd get like X amount of boosters. And then like within a matter of like a month and a half, 2 months, you then can't use those cards anymore unless you play. It's Magic the Gathering to me what was a fantastic game. It was great to play. I will sit down and play Commander with anybody at any point in time ever, because Commander's like my favorite version. That's like the 100 card. You have one guy that controls the deck. For those that don't play that, it's also called EDH. That's my favorite version of Magic, because you can use every card you've ever had, but you can only have one of each in your entire deck. That's fine. I'll play that. But this whole crap of like even like Hasbro's gotten like shitty with their Magic cards. Like I was getting them all the time at Comic-Con, and I was like, these are dumb. These are just like, I think I have like 4 or 5 convention exclusives and boxes I've never opened because I realized I wasted money. I guess I could sell them, but I have a problem, so I don't. But I think it's turned into like just a cash grab, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Marvel Snap honestly is taking a lot of people. In my opinion, it's more fun to play Marvel Snap, even though that's turned into a cash grab. But at least it's not as bad.
Yeah. You're not
Did
dumping
not
thousands of
understand a
dollars.
single thing you talking about.
Yeah.
But for the people at home that like to have a Magic the Gathering recap, Chad Maddox is just giving you one.
Yes.
Because that was more than the Marvel team or the Hasbro team did today.
Yeah.
He
They
said
were-
in 5
yeah.
minutes what they didn't say in 30
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
And it was in English.
They
Their
were
whole
trying to
20-minute
blow-
panel. You
yeah.
had no idea.
They were trying to blow smoke up your ass about a chibi
Yeah.
card. That's
Well,
all it was.
That's what you get with the Shadow Crew. Get explanations on crap that anyone else doesn't understand. So thank you, chat.
We're excited to announce a new
Exactly.
version in 2024.
Yeah.
Magic the Cash Grab.
Chet Maddox too long didn't read segment.
Yeah. So after that, Marvel Legends, they introduced the Detroit Steel. Very good character. They did a couple of Spider-Man. They had No Way Home, I believe it's, and the other one was the Amazing Spider-Man 2 figures. And the
Andrew
Marvel
Garfield.
team, the Marvel team did a really nice job on those. Those looked
I did
really
like those.
good. And the of course the highlight of the actual Hasbro Con, because they basically knew this because they held you all the way to the end, was the G.I. Joe Classified. The sculptors, they also had Dan Larson actually step into that as well and do a little rundown. So that was actually the most interesting panel of it. It was fantastic. But the characters, they had General Hawk up, they had Helix, Shockwave, they had some Dreadnoughts. Fantastic. The sculpts on them looked amazing. They had Lenny along with Emily. They broke it down. That team is probably the best in Castmatic team that can actually get in front of the mics and actually give you a rundown and make it hype for stuff. So that looked well. Then after that, they go to the Hasbro Premium. Now I'm a Hasbro Premium member. Chet is as well, and we ran into some problems. Even they give you an hour for Hasbro Premium members, and then after that, the general public can come in and actually order. It was pandemonium from the minute that they got to the Hasbro Premium section. Things were immediately sold out. You couldn't put things in your cart. I had to put things in my cart, and then I had to put my credit card back in, and then put all my shipping addresses, everything that was already in there. And I was like, oh, and after a while, it was like right when I got to check out, they said, oh, General Hawk had been sold out.
Yeah.
So I said, at this point, I said, Hasbro, I hate to do this, but I went to Big Bad Toy Store and ordered both Helix and General Hawk. I didn't order the other characters.
Can I ask you a question? Because I feel like I don't know if I missed this or not. Did they, for the Transformers section, did they release Volcanicus? Was that new? Was that new, or has that been on there? That was new. That was new, right?
That was new.
because I saw that and like was upset because I want it because it's all the Dinobots that combine and become Volcanicus, but it's like sold out, which is another problem, like you just said we had.
Everything was happening. I don't know what was going on. I know we had problems in the premium section. I can imagine what the general public had.
Well,
so I
they
think
wouldn't
yet
have gotten
again,
anything, right?
yeah, I the only thing they had up was Helix that I actually had in my cart because they said Hulk sold out. This character, so I said, you know what? I'm not even going to play this game. I'm going to jump over to Big Bad Toy Store because I know I've got seconds before other people do it, and I just put in pre-orders there, and everything went through. And we'll see how that runs down. But I think there was either a problem with the network or something. It's been a while since they've had that problem because last year it was kind of easy to get on. And then like that San Diego Comic-Con, they had the problems with Hasbro Pulse and everything else. So I don't know if maybe more people were had a little bit more attention for the Pulse Con this time around, or what the habits were. I like to say that this entire thing I don't like. We talked about last week about how we believe that using the name of cons and they're not technically cons. This is more like the QVC. They just had a bunch of people talking about merchandising and please buy it, and they could have made it a tad bit more entertaining. And I just thought it was just like again when it says a cash grab, it absolutely seemed like cash grab. Yeah, do a little something, Like, just give us a little, like, I think Dan Larson, once they had him with the dude, Toy Galaxy and Secret Galaxy, a couple of segments to break down the Transformers, to break down the G.I. Joe Dungeon, allow him to do the thing that you actually hired him to do and entertain people.
But they're not going to do that.
No, they weren't.
No. Hasbro Pulse has literally become a toilet for people to buy and resell. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
People that have no clue of what anything is go, well, this does say exclusive to Hasbro Pulse, so I should probably buy whatever the hell the limit is. If it's 2 of them, buy 2. You know what I mean? Like they do that crap all the time, and then they get people that just go into their shops and they're like, I'm not buying that for that cost.
Well, the killer is they did have a limit on all of the Joes. They had a 2 limit. And it still was a problem. So
yeah, they have a 2 limit on everything, I think is what they
I don't know what happened, but there was clearly a mistake. And it wasn't like it was something I waited around for 10 or so minutes. It's like 2 minutes. I clicked my orders in and I'm like, okay, everything's going. And it's like, boop, oh, this is sold out. Boop. I was like, okay, all right. Well, then again, the Pulse, it started with a little bit of a disappointment. It ended with a little bit of a disappointment. So, we'll see. We'll see what's going on. But that was me reporting live from Hasbro Pulse Con. Actually, oh wait a minute, my plane just virtually landed, and now I'm back at the actual Shadow Crew studios.
Oh, nice. Well, we appreciate the recap. It's definitely better than having to sleep at hotels that are marked up 20 times above market rate to attend a convention, only for them to QVC channel. They're like, here's the new Transformer and Sham Wow, clean your car and
slap chop and bitch slap. Yeah. I think bitch slap was his other product. Ginsu
knives and snake eyes all together. Free shipping.
I'll tell you with this, a virtual con is going to smell better than a regular con.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, that's armpity smells.
And the food was remotely cheaper.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss those $20 hot dogs at the convention. I am upset.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate the recap. I think there's no question there's some exciting stuff on the G.I. Joe line. And again, going back to here's this like exciting line of toys that has they've been popular for a long time, but kind of resurrected over the past couple of years. But no like film TV to match the excitement, right? Like
no.
You'd figure to capitalize on this, they develop something that'd be really great in this day and age. Right now nobody's writing anything, but I think we've talked about this on past casts. I think G.I. Joe, it's right. So for the taking, someone needs to develop it, or something similar to G.I. Joe's. Maybe someone that's working on a bunch of characters who are interesting that I don't know. Maybe there's another script or another concept out there. We may have one too. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's fast forward into Star Wars. So I know everyone was super excited the week before with Episode 5. Spoiler alert: if you haven't caught up to Ahsoka on Disney Plus, you can pause right here. But if you've seen it, everyone was super enthusiastic about seeing Hayden Christensen and the return to the small screen. Although he was in Obi-Wan for a bit, right? If I recall.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a more drawn out, really cool thing. Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
And then this past week, we finally got to see Thrawn. So your take, fellas, on that, did it equal the hype? I know it's the first time we've seen him on screen. What's your 2 cents on this last episode and the series in general?
Thrawn actually his introduction was really good, man. You know, it was, I wouldn't say it's Darth Vader like, but it's close. You know, they did a little bit of drawn up and as he basically enters off the ship, and it was like, I've only seen him through the animated version. I've never read the extended novels, but due to Rebels, you know, you got a good sense of who the character was and everything else. And I thought the live action version matched that extremely well. That episode, this is where they're starting to get the bump up a little bit. The episodes they're moving a little bit quicker. There's a little bit more action. Again, if you haven't watched it, hopefully there's a spoiler alert thing on the bottom of the screen. There's a moment where Sabine meets up with Ezra, and the actors just really look the parts. They really did a good job with the casting on this. It was one of those things at the end. It's like, oh God, now I got to wait another week for the next episode, because it's only going to get better towards the climax. And I'm kind of glad it's not only just 6 episodes. I'm glad they actually extended it a little bit.
Yeah. I see. I wasn't that impressed, even though it's the same actor.
Mm-hmm.
The live action Thrawn did not seem as threatening as the one in animation. And I don't know if it's just because it's a regular guy, just blue, you know, and that's not quite as nice as like the angular features and the things you can do in animation. And he seemed a lot more cold and calculating in the animation. But the stormtroopers were cool as hell. All that was great. I was not that impressed with the hermit crab people wearing little suits. That was like the new Ewoks. I don't know what the hell that is, but you know,
they always had to have some kind of cute creature that shows up out of nowhere. You know?
Yeah. But you know, I am looking forward to the rest of it. Most of it was really cool. You know, so we'll see.
Yeah, you didn't like their version of Ninja Turtles in the Star Wars universe?
If the Ninja Turtles wore button-up suits, I mean,
yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it's always funny how like one of the heroes finds like these little dwelling little guys, you know, and next thing you know, they're like they're riding with them and they're cute and lovable, and you can buy like dozens of them to pair up, and that's exactly what they do. It's a marketing thing, but it was overall a great episode. It was written extremely well, and I know Dr. Brentley said that he didn't think that Thrawn was a little bit threatening, and I really think that it is. I noticed that when we saw the in the Obi-Wan series, when they had the Inquisitors didn't match the look in Rebels as well, but you know, as the more episodes they went, the action got a little bit better. But I think it's hard to do those characters and then put them on the screen without it looking a tad bit ridiculous. And it's kind of like,
I think
to see it, you know,
based on Doc's hat, I think what he's really trying to say is he's pissed off they got the Wish version of Data to play Thrawn and Ahsoka. And to be honest, if this guy was really into it and he was a method actor, he would have gotten the plastic surgery. So, but he definitely looks like the Wish version of Data. Just
let me tell you something. Disney ain't paying that. Disney's not paying that. But if they did, I'm sure he would go all the way through.
I will say, like, I think this past episode was cool. Same Dr. Brantley. I'm looking forward to seeing the conclusion. But after seeing the whole Anakin, like, we need an Anakin series bad. Like,
He's still young enough.
Yeah, I think it's the coolest character in cinematic history. Like, I'll make the art, like the depth of that character, like everyone understanding the journey from the beginning as a child to, inevitably Vader to the end. And then there's so many gaps in stories that have not been told yet. There's parts you feel bad, then there's parts like, holy, he's like, they need to do that, and they need to do it fast, because they're thinking of all these other series and characters, and there's Solo, and Lando's going to get a series, or now a one-off movie. We're going to talk about Jabba in a minute here, but to me, that is the character. And I know everyone's thinking, what about Luke Skywalker? And I agree, that'd be cool as well. But I think, in my opinion, a Vader series, you can do so much with it, and he's there. Like, you can use him right now, tell the story, like the gaps. He could be the most menacing evil. You feel that, like, I don't know about you, but I think that'd be the greatest series of all time in the Star Wars universe. Like, I don't know if they did it right.
I think that while that is true, I think that it would do them very well to actually just embrace what Jar Jar Binks really was supposed to be, as like, and I don't know if you heard that theory, but he was literally probably one of the like craziest Jedi Sith Lords ever, and just played stupid. And I really think that they should embrace that and dig into it and actually play it out, because if that's true, that's cool.
I think that only happens if Elon Musk buys Disney, and he's like he'll do an X poll. Does anybody want to see Jar Jar Binks Sith Lord? Yes. And then I'll go make it. Other than that, no shit's not being made.
At this point, I don't know if he's got the capital for a Disney purchase. I don't know if he can do the Disney purchase.
I think he's running out. He's going to leave that up to BlackRock.
He's only got enough money to run one company into the ground at a time.
What do you all think about Jabba series? Now, the rumor mill is that, everyone's getting a Oprah. You get a Star Wars series, and now it's Guillermo del Toro is now getting a Star Wars series, allegedly, and he said it involves the letter J and a double B. You put 2 and 2 together. He even went on record and said he was going to do some type of mafia, like,
If anyone can do a Jabba series, justice,
that's the guy.
Guillermo del Toro. I mean, let's be real. Like, his work is pretty crazy. So I think it's cool. I'm a little upset it's not Pizza the Hut, but if it's Jabba the Hutt, like, I don't know. Yeah. I think the character has potential to be cool. The problem I have with it is that unless there's some kind of like weird introduction as to how come you can understand Jabba, like I could not sit through a whole movie with that kind of like talk happening, because I'd be like, dude, just bring Jar Jar Binks in. Let's just have it. It's a foreign film. It's like a French.
Just in Huttese.
It's like a French. So straight to Netflix.
Didn't they tease it a bit with like the last season of Mandalorian, right? Like, wasn't that, or was it the last season? Like,
no, Boba Fett.
Book of
Fett. Oh, Boba Fett. Yes, yeah.
Because that was supposed to be like a Godfather type, underground thing, and it did not do that at all.
No,
and so there's room to do that with a Jabba series.
Yeah. And also, too, wasn't it, Dr. Brentley? Wasn't there a series that when George Lucas was first going to do the television series, I think it was supposed to be for ABC. It was like, I think it was Star Wars Underground or something.
Yeah,
it was
Underworld.
He was trying to do something towards that. So there is room for that, because we, just like when we saw the Bounty Hunters and through Rebels, and I think we really haven't seen the mob aspect of the Hutts in the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
So and the only time we did see it was when the on Book of Fett, when Black Chrysanthemum and the other 2 Hutts showed up. So
Jabba the Hutt Christmas special.
I just, as long as they cast Nicolas Cage as one of the Huts, I'm in. I'm in. I'm in.
I'm
He
so
is the.
I'm so
he's
into
the.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
shit,
so into that.
all day long. Okay, the movie's coming out in just a few days. It's getting some hype from critics. The word
Patrol?
off the press, not Paw Patrol. No, is that
Yeah.
movie coming out, by the way?
Yeah, it's coming out. It comes out on the 29th. Not that I know.
Directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking
Yeah.
that'd be a trip. Holy shit. But the creator is getting some nice reviews. The fans have not come in with Rotten Tomatoes yet. Apparently you can pay for Rotten Tomato ratings. I did not know that. Note to self when a movie or TV show from us comes out. But what do you all think? I saw the trailer. It looked like okay, like concept, all right. But again, the guy behind Rogue One, which I think was a stellar movie. What do you think? Is this critics overhyping it, or do you think this could be a sci-fi classic?
You know, when I saw the trailer, it kind of had like a Ridley Scott kind of feel to it. You know, it was like a thinking man sci-fi. It didn't look like something where there's a bunch of robots and shoot them up kind of things. It looked like there was a more in-depth story to it. There it seems to have room that we need more pieces of sci-fi like that out, especially ones that's written well, directed well. That only helps the entire industry, because when you just crap things in just the dramas and comedies, things or just a standard action movie. So sci-fi definitely needs to be represented kind of like the same vein as horror. So I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know if I was looking forward to it going to the theater to see it. It was one of those things where I like, if it popped up on whichever service, Max or Netflix or whoever, I would probably enjoy it then. But I don't know. Those thinking men sci-fis usually take a pretty long time in the theater. So, but it looked intriguing enough for me to want to actually watch it.
Yeah, I don't think they know how to sell it, because I wasn't interested after watching the trailer. I mean, the effects all look good, it just, nothing really grabbed me where I'm like, oh my God, I have to watch this, and so you're not doing your job.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
It could be one of those films. Like, do you all, I vaguely remember, but when The Matrix came out, I remember like, what is this? Like, who? Well, Wachowski brothers, and it's like Keanu Reeves. Like, he wasn't like, he had been in a few things, and then everyone saw it and was like, holy shit.
The Matrix
I'm not saying it could be
terrible.
Matrix level, but could it be one of those sneak up on you? And maybe the focus was like, let's just downplay this. We don't want to overhype it. We want people to be surprised, and then word of mouth, we can make some money here. Because if you go in there and do all the shit and they may be benefiting from the writers, the whole Hollywood strike is to not be able to do all this publicity. So it may be under the radar. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, who knows? Some of these critics sometimes are so far off base of what like the true fan base it likes, but it's promising that they didn't shit on it, which is a good thing.
I don't think they had much of a campaign for Rogue One either. And Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars. Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
well, it's like same thing like when Chris was talking about The Matrix. Like, I didn't even see the trailer for The Matrix. Actually, a good friend of mine was like, "Hey, dude, I know you're in the comic books. You've got to see this film. It's like a comic book came to life." And we went to the theater. I was like, "Wow!" I never saw a trailer. I never saw any kind of merchandise for that. And in the long run, same thing. This is how it's rolling down for this, because obviously you don't have the writers to come up with like catchy ads and every other situation. So maybe it's going to take a word of mouth, Yeah. It looks like they got good actors all in it. Washington, not the same pedigree as his father, but he is a good actor. I thought his work in Ballers on the HBO series was fantastic. Yeah. So, I didn't like his performance too well in Tenet, but he's a good actor. I
forgot he was in that.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I'm looking forward to it.
He's also not a big enough actor that it depends on him to sell the movie. It's like, it doesn't matter if he's in it or not.
which
You
means the
know,
writing has to be good.
yes.
Exactly. You
But
better have a good.
it's also like I mean, I feel like this is going to be along the lines of the movies that like people are like, oh shit, I have to go see it. Like, right?
Mhm.
Like if you think about it, like another movie that was like that was Rogue One, and then there was
Mhm.
also like Equilibrium,
I remember cool.
which like people were just like, ah, it's a dumb idea, and then you watch that movie and you're like, oh, that's it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Matrix didn't have hype at all, and
Yeah.
then they hyped up that last Matrix, and it was a bomb.
But
Yeah.
the same thing happened to me with The Matrix. A friend of mine saw it and said, "Oh my God, I'm going to pay for your ticket and we're going to go see this. And at the end of it, if you liked it, you pay me back." And,
Yeah.
and yes, here you go. Thanks. You know, it was great.
You know what movie I think it could be compared to without even seeing it, but like I remember a film that was very similar in terms of like cinematography, and it was like kind of unknown or the radar, was District 9. Do you all remember that?
I
It
love that
actually
movie.
turned out to be really, really good. And it's not like considered a sci-fi classic where they're saying, here are these critics. So it could either go catapult to like a Matrix type of thing, or it could sit really nicely, good reviews, make some money in like a District 9 type of. But if it's that, I'm happy.
Oh,
I'm happy with it.
District 9's fantastic. That's along the lines of like Fifth Element stuff for me too. Like District 9 was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the only thing with the creator is that from the work and everything that I've seen, it doesn't look like it was inexpensive. It looks like it was fairly expensive. So I think this one, if it bombs, that's going to be a crippling effect for the studio and everybody involved, because that looks like, I don't know the budget, but it didn't look like they did that on a $40 million or $50 million shoestring budget.
No. Well,
Isn't
Ken
that wild?
Watanabe's in it too. So
40 or 50 million shoestring budget.
Well, when you're talking about like giant blockbuster special effects and everything else like that, it's very rare that we see anything under 50 mil anymore.
That's
Everything's usually like at 200 or like 150.
That's when you know money's not real.
Yeah.
I just want to know. We haven't seen the Marvels movie yet. How that budget was lower than Secret Invasion. That's what I want to know. And where the money was spent in Secret Invasion.
Because they reshot it 3 times.
They should have reshot it until it could not be shot anymore. Yeah,
until it was good. I would have donated 6 rounds to the reshoot.
Well, you've got to ask yourself too: is Secret Invasion probably the biggest disappointment of the year?
No, that's. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it is, but I would just classify almost every Marvel thing in the last like 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, see, but there's a couple things like the Loki, a couple of things I can actually sit through and watch. She-Hulk, I couldn't.
But I didn't have expectations on She-Hulk.
Exactly.
When you say you have Secret Invasion, Sam Jackson, and it's like, all right, and
then you watch it and you're like, oh no,
yeah, that's fine.
No. Well, I'm excited to talk about Loki when that comes out and see how that does, and will that there's been definitely a downward trend in the Marvel shit, so hopefully that recovers a bit. But on to our ranking, our exercise around action heroes. This is an exciting time, I think, for all of us, because we probably all have different thoughts about some of these legendary characters on screen. So here are the rules, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages. This is not a versus like if they were to fight. We are ranking if they're just better, like the character is cooler, maybe the franchise is better. Like, I think if we just do versus, I think it's been super easy. Maybe we explore that another time, but I think we rank it as like the most iconic action hero of all time, and we're gonna do it 1 versus 1 until we get down to one single action hero left that we think is the greatest of all time. Y'all ready?
All right.
Oh man,
are you ready?
Gonna be our argument
now. We excluded any of like the traditional comic book heroes from this exercise because it'd be 7 hours if we had to compare Iron Man versus Blue Beetle versus.
We just end up at Batman versus Superman, and everyone
Yeah.
knows Batman would
Well,
win.
that's a convention topic.
Yes,
That's not
yes.
mentioned over a podcast.
Yes. Okay, should we start?
Let's go.
Okay, competition number 1.
All right.
John Wick, the legendary Keanu Reeves action film hero, versus Casey Ryback, the Steven Seagal character from Under Siege, the slick back ponytail, takes out the entire terrorist group on
The
and beats
wrestler
Gary
from
Busey.
the wrestler from WWE. Beat
So-
me more.
I just want to know, is this an easy choice for you all?
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah, it's John Wick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad we decide Casey Ryback moves on. Next, I'm just kidding. So John Wick defeats Casey Ryback. Although Under Siege was a good movie. Under
It was
Siege
a good
2.
movie. It's one of his few
yes.
good movies.
Okay. Next, this one's going to be a hard one. Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character from Predator, versus John McClane, the legendary Bruce Willis character from all the Diehards. Who is more iconic, John McClane or Dutch?
John
fights
McClane.
the Predator.
I know who would win in a fight,
Yeah.
but I think John McClane is more
John
iconic.
McClane's more iconic.
Yeah. He's had what 5 or 6 tries at the character. You got Dutch.
And
Arnold
3 of them were
Schwarzenegger
good.
won. Yeah.
Hey, but Dutch beat the Predator, man. Are you
But
forgetting?
you could, but you also got to take your nostalgia out though. You're thinking Dutch because it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's not like Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. It's like Schwarzenegger is Dutch, which most people are like, oh, I've never seen Predator.
Okay.
But you've got to think about it too. Is that when we say iconic, John McClane is extremely iconic. They basically, I've heard people getting the fights over is like Die Hard a Christmas movie or not. It's like
And
there's
it
a
is.
point.
Will always be a Christmas movie.
Well, I'm just gonna say Dutch has a special place in my heart.
He does.
Mine as well. But if we're talking like this matchup, John McClane's gonna take it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now
son
we're
of a
now,
bitch.
now this shit is getting harder here. Okay. Rambo
Mhm.
versus Indiana Jones.
Just Rambo.
No, Rambo's killing Indiana.
No way. Are
I'm
you
sorry.
crazy?
I'm
Here
sorry,
it
Dr.
is.
Brady.
Here's the argument I was
Jones.
waiting for. I love it.
Honestly, takes it easily.
No.
Yes. Rambo, what's he got? He's got PTSD and some weapons.
His movie, he only has to say
Old army surplus.
He only has to say 43 words in a movie, and it's still more epic.
No, it's not. Then
Yes, it
Indiana Jones.
Well, you
In
gotta
1, 2,
think,
and 3, I'm talking about.
is Indy? Does he have the Ark of the Covenant? Because that's the only way he's beating John McClane, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
He's
way
got
beating
the
John
Ark of the
Rambo. I'm
Covenant,
sorry,
he's
John
got the
Rambo.
Sankara stones. He's got the Holy Grail.
He's got to have everything, bro.
Okay.
Rambo could kill him, and he'd still be fine. He's got the Grail.
He'll need the Doll of Destiny to turn that back to make that a good movie. You'll need
I will
everything.
say,
brother.
He'll just
I will
piss on
say-
the
A more
dial, that's
iconic character, though.
I will
Indiana.
say if we're met, in my opinion, iconic. Indiana Jones
is Indiana
is a
Jones.
bit higher on Rambo. Indiana Jones has his own rides at Disneyland. He's got it's Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones. Like
No, but-
hey, here's the thing. Here's the biggest thing though, in my opinion. What is Harrison Ford known more for, Han Solo or Indiana Jones? My argument is Indiana Jones more than Han Solo. And that should tell you how iconic it is to be known probably more as Indiana Jones than Han Solo in legendary Star Wars films. Rambo was cool, but I think after First Blood, that was it. Like,
Not
I think
true.
I know
If-
I knew it was going to be a
No,
hard
way.
conversation.
If I could
shit,
put
man.
my Dan Larson Toy Galaxy hat on here right here, it's like Rambo had his own cartoon, brother.
He did.
Dude, he had his
Cereal box.
He had his own cereal box, his own cartoon. He still can make a movie called Rambo and get people to go watch it.
And it wasn't just one performance. I will say you got to give the second movie, and then I think it's the fourth film.
Which one?
Is the one where he's in the Cambodian jungle and
Yeah,
like
where it got banned. It got
25
banned. It got
John
banned.
Rambo. Yeah.
It got banned. I
Like-
mean, dude,
like,
you
come
don't
on,
get any better than that.
He's had
like,
3 good films in that series, brother.
That overly roided dude jumping on the back of a truck, shooting people point blank with a 50 caliber gun.
Mhm.
Well,
Come on,
Rambo has
Indiana
only
Jones.
had 3 good movies as well.
No,
So you
no,
can't
no,
have
no.
that conversation.
No.
It's
Okay.
Every
All right.
Rambo movie bleeds into the next. It's just one giant Rambo movie.
And let me just say, in every single Indiana Jones movie, he beats a dude that's like twice as big as him because he's smarter.
Yeah, but now see
He'll
again,
kill people, throw you into a propeller, into a rock crusher. Don't matter.
Rambo destroyed an entire village, brother.
Yeah.
Entire
Indiana
battalion
Jones
of
saved
men
an entire
by
village.
himself.
He was
Okay,
so
I think-
bloody. He was so
I
bloody.
think this goes
he
back
got-
to it. Wait, I think this is where the argument has to. That we have to compare weapons at this point. Rambo's knife to the whip.
knife
That's
cuts the
cool.
whip.
Oh, I can get you from 9 feet away. What are you talking about?
I could cut your whip. In fact, I work out so much that I'll catch your whip on my hand, cut it off with my fucking Rambo
Okay,
knife.
all right.
Also,
so
I've got a gun, so I just shoot.
we
then-
haven't
I'll
established
tie it
weapon.
around my head.
We haven't established weapons superiority. So now we move on to headband and that green necklace thing that Rambo wears, whatever that little amulet he wore, or Indiana Jones, the legendary hat. What's more iconic?
The hats.
I mean, Chet Maddox wears
The
a headband, so we
headband
know where he
He's
lands.
so iconic. Come on, man.
Okay, we're gonna go around here.
That's a
Let's get
little
vote.
bias. That
Let's
Chet
get a
has
vote.
some bias in
Mr.
this, man.
Storm,
It's gotta
Indiana
be-
Jones, or Rambo.
It's gonna be Indiana Jones, man. Yeah, it's
Dr.
an iconic
Brantley.
character.
You know,
Indiana. I'm going Indiana. Chet, I'm sorry. Rambo goes bye-bye, but it's a good argument. It's a good argument.
I will die on the Rambo.
And Rambo is part of the headband club. We know that, and he'll forever be a part.
But
of
don't worry,
the
Chet,
headband club.
we'll bring John Rambo back when it's who could beat the Predator, John Rambo or Dutch.
Ooh, that's a good episode.
Oh, he killed the
Okay.
Why kill him? No, I'm just kidding.
Here's the next one. Jason Bourne
Hmm.
from the Bourne trilogy. If everyone remembers, it's Matt Damon plays that character.
there was a fourth one too.
Yeah.
That was
Or
bad.
jeez, don't ever argument might be over here. Versus Ethan Hunt from Mission
Oh.
Impossible and Tom Cruise. Who is it?
This is the easy one, brother.
Jason
That's
Bourne.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that's
Are you
Mission
sure?
Impossible, man.
Oh
This
yeah.
man hung off the side of a plane, brother.
It's not my
A
problem.
plane. He just jumped himself off
On a
the
train
cliff.
as well, on
It's not
top
my
of a
problem.
train.
Jason
like,
Bourne
come on,
killed
man.
a guy with a book.
Well,
Well,
you-
if it was a never mind. I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna go.
Go there.
If it was a Rob Liefeld book, we'd all be dead. Okay.
I mean, as much as I love Jason Bourne, and I think I have my HD DVDs of that series. By the way, HD DVDs.
I remember.
Blu-ray. Yeah. Okay. Which, by the way, the only reason why Blu-rays outbid was because the porn industry got behind those again as well. The same thing between VHS and Beta. Not that that has anything to do with this podcast, but I think it'd be Ethan Hunt for me because
Yeah.
I
We'll
love
save
Jason
that for the
Bourne.
next episode. The porn identity.
Yeah. The porn identity. Yeah, it's
Okay,
gotta be
so-
it's gotta be Ethan Hunt.
yeah.
Okay. Ethan
Yeah.
Hunt. Okay, I agree. I mean, shit. It's gonna be tough competition as we match these up very soon here. So next, Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver's character, an alien, badass alien killer, versus Neo, Keanu Reeves from The Matrix.
Neo.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
I
man.
don't know because you had somebody to kill a alien queen by itself.
But
I don't know.
Alien Queen by itself, yes. But when you say alien, are you thinking of her versus like when you say like
Matrix, Neo.
let's go like
yeah,
this. All right, she's as much as Neo has destroyed the actual digital world, she's like blown up several starships, an entire planet. I got to see Sigourney Weaver. I got to say
that just tells me she's moody.
I got to say I'm going to go Ripley.
That's tough because
It is.
he's got such a great look. I myself in high school wore a long black duster, and you know,
I distinctly
This is-
remember that.
this was before all the bad stuff with that happened.
Yeah.
But
Way
anyway,
before. But it was on the cusp of that starting.
but you know, I think as much as I love Aliens and Ripley, she's one of the best female characters in movie history. But as far as iconic, I think Neo takes it.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was probably the first real badass. I mean, you had Sarah Connor, Terminator, but like I think overall, like she fighting the aliens and like, you know, just blood and bruises and a tank top and muscle. Like it was just like so different.
She's the only smart one in these movies.
Yeah.
Everyone
true.
else is like, oh, well, let's just go over here. It's like, no, we should blow it all up and run away.
Yeah.
No one listens.
But I think Neo for sure. There's no question there. Okay, next up, the Terminator, Mr. Schwarzenegger, or
Man,
James Bond,
James Bond.
which is interesting because there were so many Bonds.
Yeah. But we're talking about character, right?
We're talking about iconic.
Yeah,
ones.
Yeah.
Bond is iconic. But like
Yes.
it's just Bond's way
That's
too
a tough one.
iconic.
That's
Well,
a tough
Also,
one.
you've
on
got
that
25 movies versus 2 that were good on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had like 7 movies. So, you know,
Yeah.
Yep.
James Bond takes
Yeah. James Bond's the most iconic.
Okay.
character,
All
you
right.
know?
Okay. Next up, we have Dom Toretto from the Fast and the Furious
Oh.
movies. Vin Diesel's character versus the Bride from Kill Bill.
Bride.
That was
No.
quick.
I can
Dom
tell you right
Toretto.
now,
Dom
unfortunately,
Toretto?
it's Don, man. Because it's all
No.
about family, brother. It's all
He's a
about
bald
family.
guy and he's got some family. That's it.
He's
Yeah.
a bald guy. Wait a
He
minute, hold
can't
on.
take on 88 killers. I'll
Let
tell
me
you that.
something, brother. Do not disrespect the Charger. Like he's a bald guy, family, and a Charger, a bad Charger.
Yeah, but let's see. The Bride has the pussy wagon. She
Mhm.
also rides along, let's see, a motorcycle in Bruce Lee outfit. She can take on all things. She can punch out of a grave. The Bride is a much more iconic character than Dom. He drives a car. That's it.
This man fell out of the plane at like 40,000 feet and
In a
crashed 2 cars, man. Come on.
In a
Yeah.
car. That's it.
Let's see
You
her
can't
do
anything
that.
outside a car.
But who? It's not like hey, this is not a Tesla, brother. These guys can actually drive the car. It don't drive itself.
Yeah.
It goes down to Don, man. Come on,
He took
It's
on
10
like The Rock. He
10
took
plus
on
movies,
Jason
man.
Statham. Come on.
man.
Yeah.
Hey, the
Uh,
submarine.
Again, she
Uh,
took on the what was it? The
A bad role and is not
Oh,
more
God.
iconic.
I
the
would
Deadly Viper.
if there were more if he'd gone on to do one more,
Mhm.
I think you'd have an argument. But unfortunately, there's fucking 25 Fast and the Furious movies, and he's been at the forefront of them. So I have to go with Dom Toretto on this one. As reluctant as I have to say, he definitely is, because there'll probably be a Fast 9 and 10, 11.
I mean, there's
trust
a
me.
Fast 10.
Yeah, he
It
needs.
is a full one, yes.
Yeah, so there you go.
it's only half over.
And then so the last of this round before we get into the second round is Mr. Jack Reacher, as you said, Chet, versus Chuck Norris, because it's just Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris. There, it's not you just know him as the Delta Force, as Texas
The lone
Ranger.
wolf.
as-
Lone
Got to be
wolf.
him from Hero and the Terror.
What do you think?
I mean,
Chuck Norris.
he's a lone wolf in Expendables.
If we're seeing Chuck Norris as a character himself, because remember there was a lot of memes and everything throughout the years.
Yeah, he's a character.
Chuck
Sidekicks.
Norris is. Yeah, Chuck Norris is way more iconic.
Okay.
Than,
Jack Reacher.
Mhm.
Okay. Round number 2 matchups.
I mean, Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the world down.
Yes.
So
Stay tuned for the next 2 hours as we do Chuck Norris jokes.
so
Like and
good.
subscribe to the channel. Okay. Round 2. John Wick versus John McClane.
John Wick.
John Wick. Yeah.
And he's got a better style too.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean,
All right.
after that 4th movie, like, yeah, he's iconic.
Okay. Indiana Jones versus Ethan Hunt.
Indiana
Ooh.
Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
Iconic.
Well, yeah, you know, the fedora and the whip kind of wins out on this one.
Neo versus Bond.
Oh, Bond, easily.
Bond.
Bond.
We're going
Okay.
strictly based on iconic, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, Bond.
Bond
And-
has been around longer.
I think there's some.
I think Bond probably.
I think there's something that could take Bond out.
Yeah,
But
we'll see
go
it
ahead,
here.
Go ahead.
Dom Toretto versus Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris. Okay.
Yeah, you know where I stand on Dom. So
Really, really high above him because he's short. So yes, I do.
Well, now we know that
He's never on
there's
this
no BG.
podcast.
He's never coming.
You never had your car.
Add it to the
Okay,
list.
next up. Oh, it's getting down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen. John Wick versus Indiana Jones.
Oh,
Iconic wise,
yeah.
Indiana Jones is more
Indy still
iconic.
kills him. Yeah, Indy kills John Wick, unfortunately.
from iconic wise, yeah, Indiana
Yeah.
Jones is gonna win.
Mhm. I got a bad feeling where this is going.
James Bond. James Bond versus Chuck Norris.
Oh,
That's what I'm
Which
saying, Chuck
Could
Norris.
be a fucking
James
movie
Bond.
tomorrow. by
I think
God.
Bond beats Chuck, man.
No way,
Yeah.
I think so, man.
no way.
Yeah,
There are literal kids that are like 5 and 6 right now, still telling Chuck Norris jokes.
Let me
They
tell you
don't talk
something,
about
that's
James
true.
Bond. So
That's
if you're
true,
talking
but
about,
also, no, because I can tell you already. I've heard, I have like 5 and 6 year olds, and I've heard License to Kill, and I've heard 007.
show them a picture and don't put a name of James Bond, and show them a picture and don't put a name of Chuck Norris. Who they going to say?
Well, here's the thing. If we're showing a picture, which version we're talking about, Daniel Craig, don't know who you're talking about.
Pick one.
Sean Connery, they have no idea.
Chuck
But if it's
Norris,
Craig,
the
then-
same since history started.
Well, but show him a picture of Chuck Norris now or Chuck Norris back then, because
Yeah, they won't work
don't
There
look-
is no back then with Chuck Norris. It's just all now.
I'm gonna have to say Bond.
It's
As
gotta be
much as I
Bond.
like Chuck Norris, it's
Yeah,
going to be Bond.
Whatever.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the
What
final
if Chuck Norris
two.
played James Bond?
that'd be
Yeah,
interesting.
that could work, but
Yeah.
not before.
Yeah, not now.
Not before Nicolas Cage's Bond. That
Okay, that's
that to
fair.
me has to go first. Okay, here it is. Drum roll. Indiana Jones versus James Bond. Ooh,
Now, see,
shit.
those are two iconic
characters. As much as I know Dr. Brentley, he was his whole nickname, the sake, I think James Bond beats the Dr. Jones, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with this.
Because I knew it was coming down to this was two
Yeah.
characters. I
Yeah.
knew once he said it, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it's going to be between Bond and Indiana
Here,
Jones.
here's what I would say. The argument for Indiana Jones would be that it's been the same actor. And so does that give a little bit of edge to, like, there's a actor synonymous with the character versus Bond? Like, pick your poison. Which Bond do you want to go with? I think Sean Connery is like the Bond, and then you got some, the Craigs or whatever.
Mhm.
Is there anything to that about like a face to the name of the character, right? To me, when you say Bond, it could mean things differently to everyone. That would be the only argument.
I think James Bond, due to the gadgets, due to the entire lore, due to all the other situations, I think Bond, just legitimately through his time on the screen, is the most iconic character when it's going up against Dr. Jones.
I would agree with that, because in all of the Bond movies, they don't really reference Bond as the one person.
Mhm,
Like, if you go back and watch them, like, it's kind of just like the role, right?
mhm, mhm.
If you're 007, you're Bond. And they played to that in some of the newer ones. So I think if you're talking about like role specific, right? Because they're doing that, they're trying to do that with Indiana Jones now, right? Like panned it off or whatever. But it's got to be Bond just from like an iconic perspective.
Mhm.
And you have to wonder, did Bond influence the creation of Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
A little bit he did,
Mhm.
actually, because
Yes,
of
he
the way
did.
the whole thing is constructed. Start with a
Yep.
little teaser and then get into the main story. But
Exactly.
I'll tell you, iconic wise, you will know Indiana Jones by the outline and silhouette more than James Bond, even if he's holding the gun.
I don't know because the opening of the movie is the silhouette, and everyone knows the silhouette. So I don't know. I think that gets right when they do the caption of he turns to the camera, it's a silhouette. So I think people will notice now. Maybe the silhouette has to be in the circle of a gun barrel, but I think these don't know it though.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that will be, I don't think there'll be an Indiana Jones again once Harrison Ford, and if so, it'll be 30, 40, like I don't think it'll be recent. Otherwise, it could be Disney stupid, but I think in general, I think it'll be okay. But there will be Bonds forever that will continue on. That character will continue to live on. It's a cash cow, and so my vote would be for Bond.
Well, and the reason that is because it's independently owned, right? The Broccoli have the James Bond, and if you're Lucasfilm, right, it's just Indiana Jones goes wherever they get sold.
Yeah,
and you can have some people that are better at it than others, but the Broccolis actually do care about every one of those, and they even some that don't work out, they do try. And you can sense they're all big. And unfortunately, I think I may have to go with you on James Bond, all the way back to the 1950s or whenever that was, 60s that he started.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, James Bond, although, wait a minute. There's one man standing in the ring, but in WWE fashion, if the Tech Master was with us, the entrance music hits and there's a run-in. There is one last competitor. Will they take Bond down, or will Bond be standing? And that is Mr. Bruce Lee. Will Bruce Lee take on Bond, or has Bond still the champion?
Bond still won. Bond still got that. Now, if you said Pink Panther, so one could argue.
Okay. All right. So Bruce Lee's over the top rope, and Bond is our champion. The greatest action hero character of all time for the Shadow Crew podcast is James Bond. Yeah. All right. It was a little tough, some of the conversations, but it was easy. It only took us to 20 minutes or so. So any other thoughts? You all happy with the verdict?
Oh yeah, man. I think so. Right. Again, when it got down to the Indiana Jones and James Bond, I'm like, okay, yeah, these are the two most iconic characters in the business. So I think the top guys got into the final round. Man.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for you all, gentlemen, as we wrap things up for this evening?
Well, yeah, actually, this was a Shadow wanted to make sure that we did this on the Shadow Crew podcast, since it's the Shadow knows in the title of it. We have a sponsor tonight, actually, which is our very first sponsor. It is the Toys versus Games in Wilmington, California, a small boutique mom and pop collectible store. And from this week on to whenever he pulls out of his sponsorship, he is a sponsor of the Shadow Crew podcast. Again, Toys versus Games in Wilmington, California, opened Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tell them that the Shadow Crew podcast sent you.
12 a.m.?
Jeez, they're open early.
p.m.
So
PM. I'm sorry, PM. My bad.
Noon.
Oh, well.
Just say noon.
No.
People knocking on the glass door.
It's like 12 a.m. I'm drunk and need toys.
Hey, I love supporting the mom and pop, so you don't have to, get rated by the bots at the Hasbro PulseCon.
And this is actually Shadow's. This is Shadow's actual main store. There's a lot of, you can go in there and you can trade figures in, barter. He's always competitive. Great. Sometimes he gets your store credit for older merchandise that you bring in that you trade. It's an extremely fan-friendly store. So make sure you go check it out in Wilmington, California.
Do they have
awesome.
Do they have a website?
They do well. They actually, I've got the Instagram right now, and it's I'm pulling this right up. It is Toys versus VS Games, and if you pull that up on Instagram, it'll give you the location. I could just give out the location: 629 North Avalon Boulevard, Suite A in Wilmington, California. Zip code of 90744. We'd like to thank the people over at Toys versus Games for being our sponsor.
That's a cool name, actually. Shit, Toys versus Games. That's cool. I like that.
And that's going to be one of our next topics.
Yes, Toys versus Games. All right. Well, it was a pleasure shooting the shit with all of you this evening. Thanks for listening or watching or wherever you are. As I've been reminded by this team, we do this at the end. So like the channel, subscribe, share the videos. It helps the channel grow. I think everyone that's probably listening, tuning in, you understand the algorithms and shit, but it helps us. So you want us to continue to do this. A simple click of a button or two is super helpful. And then I think lastly, drop a comment if you want us to talk about something we haven't talked about, any topics, rankings, things of that. Follow us on all socials. But we appreciate the support, and as always, we love just getting together, hanging out, and talking about the things we like to talk about. Last words, gentlemen, before we depart.
Target sucks. They canceled finally my club Obi-Wan Indiana Jones.
You know, it's after we put the sponsor up. The sponsor up, and then he's one of the biggest retailers all over America. He's like, no, but let me tell you something.
If it was an exclusive at Games versus Toys versus Games, right? Then I probably would have gotten
it. You would have it.
But no, they just at 1 a.m. the other night, they just sent an email. Oh, sorry, your thing is canceled, even though you pre-ordered it in April. So some people got it, and I didn't.
Well, they knew you were going to say Bond over Indiana Jones.
If it was a Bond toy, you would have got it.
There you go.
They're like, this is not a real Indiana Jones fan. Get him a Bond toy. They should have sent you a Brendan Fraser mommy action figure just to rub it in.
And it's the one that looks like Bond. He's in the white tuxedo.
A Brendan Fraser Sliders action figure.
Okay, well, anybody else have anything that else sucks outside of Target? Chat, Mr. Storm. Hasbro's premium membership hour before. And we're going to destroy corporate.
Thank you for paying for your premium membership. You get jack shit.
Nothing.
And we'll see you next time.
Exactly.
Chad, anything sucks on your end?
No, actually, it's fantastic. Nothing sucks that I know of.
Okay. All right. That is a t-shirt in the making. Nothing sucks that I know of. Chet Maddox.
TM.
Shadowe's YouTube channel. We'll put those up right now. Start making it up there. Chad has his own t-shirt now.
I love it. That'd
be good.
All right, all. Take care. We'll see you next week. Adios.